All right, guys. So first up, as always, buyer, seller, needs, wants, referrals, whatever you've got, anything you want to announce. Nicholas said he's got an announcement. So, and you got to use the fake mic that doesn't work in here, but the people on Zoom can hear you. Okay. I have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath in Lehigh, right off of 1200 West. 568 is where we're priced at. Just put in brand new carpet, really nice backyard. It's really, really a nice home. So would like to announce that one. Anybody else? Lise?
No, I don't have
Danny?
anything.
And you want to say who you are so that people on Zoom know who you are.
Bob Casper. I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Saratoga Springs, priced at $344,900 and excuse me, $334,900 with $5,000 towards closing costs. So
Nice.
What's the HO?
That's the
$850 a month.
that's the fun one.
Yeah.
That's the fun one. It's there's 2 HOAs out there. One's 100 and the other one's 295.
That's for fee.
Not sure.
$395.
So-
Still not terrible. It's not,
Yeah.
not out of the norm for
Yep.
today's HOA market.
So
Anybody else? Up here. This is Missy, by the way. She just joined us.
I just joined this week this week. But I have a listing in Spanish Fork. It has 5 bedrooms, 2 baths with a 3rd bath that could be finished anytime. They have all the stuff for it. It's got a 4-car garage plus RV parking. And that price range at $690. So it's a good price for 4-car garages plus RV parking.
How close to the newly announced temple?
I don't know.
No.
It's by the high school in Spanish Fork.
This is Leah Duncan. I've got a listing in Alpine. It's under 5,000 square feet. It's got 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath with an office, but the seller is saying that he will pay for the basement to be finished, which would make it have 2 kitchens, 2 laundries, 5 bedrooms. So the buyer will get to customize the basement to their desires and he'll pay. And he says he can do a 30-day close. It's got a 3-car garage. It is a 1997, but it's immaculate condition, only 1 owner, empty nesters, maple cabinetry in the office that will stay, and LVP flooring, central vacuuming. That's 1.35. And it's on 0.47, and it's like a flat lot where you could put like another garage at the end of the driveway, or whatever, if you need some storage space.
I knew you would have something, Lisa.
I have Lisa Flutie. I have a rental in Cottonwood Heights. It's fully furnished, $3,500 a month, includes a hot tub, all utilities, Wi-Fi. If you have anyone who's looking for short-term rental for whatever reason, I would love to have them rent for me.
Ron?
Morning, I'm Ron Beeson.
No, you got to wait for the mic because nobody on Zoom can hear you if you don't use this.
Good morning, Ron Beeson. I have a listing in Eagle Mountain. It is new construction, built 2024. It's in Overland Gardens. It is a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath. Basement is completely finished. It has 2 bedrooms, a bath, a kitchen, and a laundry. It does not have its own access. The lot is 0.13 acres. HOA is $345 a quarter. It's an ivory built home, vacant, never lived in. The price on it is $619,950, with at least $8,000 in concessions offered. The owner's kind of a jerk, but I can deal with him. Anyway.
Yeah, but your wife can't. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is a problem. Anyway, yeah, it's a great house.
Anybody else?
I've got a listing coming on today in Spanish Fork, about 3,800 square feet. It's a 2-story back in the end of a cul-de-sac, so great location. 3-bed, 2-bath, 2.5 bath. Although upstairs there's a really large family room upstairs, which is a little bit different. The floor plan's kind of cool. That could be a large 4th bedroom if someone wanted it as a bedroom, but unfinished basement, although the basement does have the framing done for 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, family room. Some of the plumbing is there. The electrical boxes are in place and the holes have been drilled, but it just needs the electrical to be pulled. So it's coming along. Someone could finish that out fairly easy. It'll be priced at about $650, and sits on a 0.27 acre lot. Good RV parking, good big long driveway. 2-car garage, although it's overly wide. It's got a big section off to the side for all the, workbench or tools, bikes, mowers, all that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Name of the mic.
Wade Griffith. I don't need the mic. I'm mic'd all the time.
Rather be back here.
Sorry, I have one more need. I have some clients that are looking for a rambler, either in Spanish Fork or Springville. They don't care if the basement is finished or not. They'd like to stay under 700 if they can, but what they need is for 2 of the bedrooms to be next to each other because their elderly mother's moving in and she has dementia. So they want to make sure that she's close. So we found a couple, but it's like the
Main floor.
primary was on one. Yes.
So main floor has to
Main
have 2
floor has to
bedrooms
have
next
at
to
least
each
2
other.
bedrooms next to each other. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Under 700 Springville Spanish.
Mhm.
Anyone
Or
else?
up to 7. So we can announce, we can ask whoever
If-
has it. So
Yeah.
that- Well, I have buyers.
Okay.
I have several buyers looking for, well, one is looking in Eagle Mountain with 3-car garage, a rambler, but with a basement and a nice view. And then that's like 700 below too. And then I have another one looking for a townhome, between Draper to Saratoga. They also, the view is not really the number one thing. They want a 3-story because they want a walkout basement. And that farther from the roads, like the main highway. And then I have another one looking in Salt Lake, so South Salt Lake, basically, for a multifamily. There would be like 3 of them who owns it. And then another one also is looking for new builds, but newer builds is how I should say it, not new builds, but newer builds around, I think they want it around between Harriman to Saratoga again. And their budget's about $650.
Jeff, who was that?
That was Cynthia Golping.
Hey Cynthia, this is Tim Reynolds. For the townhome clients, I may have a couple options in Bluffdale and Saratoga.
Tim Reynolds. Okay, I've got a listing coming up in Hidden Oaks, Highland, 1992, 5,700 square feet on about a half an acre. It'll be priced at just under 1.7, so in that area. So if you got anybody looking in Hidden Oaks. Anybody online have listings they want to, or buyers needs they need to announce? Okay, on we go. Top producers, we're going to put this up at the start. So top producers for the quarter. I've been showing you top producers for the month, every month. And so this is for the quarter. And for this quarter, for volume and transactions, Tim Reynolds is at the top. And then for volume, we have Phil Lafine, Cynthia Golpe, Cameron Ure, and Barb Dill at the top. And then for transactions, pretty much the same, except Barb moves up a spot and Lisa's coming up on their heels. So Lisa's a brand newish agent, just over a year. Just add a year. So if you guys want to be on the leaderboard, you just have to follow these guys. Okay. Our in-house partners are here today. So Verus Title is here and Encompass Lending. We're going to give them each just a little bit of time. And so Jessica, if you want to come up, we'll give you a minute to feed us.
All right, I'm Jessica Jensen. I'm from Verus Title. We came over probably about a year ago or so. We brought over a bunch of people from us. So I've been doing this for a long time. I was in lending for almost 10 years prior. So I kind of went to the escrow side, and it's very interesting to see the lending side and back then over to escrow. So, but I love it. So yeah, we'd love to help you guys. There's a lot of experience between all of us. So we'd love to help you guys out. If you guys have any questions, just reach out. We can pull county stuff. We have lots of different things we can do for you guys. So if, reach out to us, we'd love to help you at least see what we got going on. So, but yeah,
And they're
that's
super
kinda all I
fast. Like
got.
I just emailed Jessica yesterday and said, hey, will you check a vesting for me? Expecting to hear back today. And like 4 minutes later, she texted me back.
Sometimes that's a little rarity, but we really
Hey,
try hard.
No,
So
4 minutes. That's like a guarantee. 4 minutes and under.
we try really hard to do that. So just because we know time is money, and sometimes when you're doing listings and you guys are working so hard to get these, you need your information, you need it quick. So that's what we try to do. So yeah.
They're awesome.
So
They're
there-
really good. Yeah.
So
Sorry.
I just sold one and I'd like to tell the neighborhood, can you pull the addresses for me so I can do a just sold little postcard?
So let me look at that because I think we can. Yeah, I just need to have an address, and there's like a database that we might be able to pull. Yeah, so you can send it and then generate more stuff, hopefully. So yeah, get with me. We can find out for sure. Anybody else have any questions or?
Okay.
Here he comes.
Thanks, Jessica. Next up is Jason from Encompass.
All right. Some of you I've had the pleasure of talking with and working with. So, but those of you that don't know me, I'm Jason Christensen. I came over with Jessica. We came over back in July. I was brought over as the principal broker for Encompass Lending for Utah. So it's basically my license that allows them to lend in Utah or do loans in Utah. For you, so those of you that have been here a while, we've probably had Encompass loan offers come and go. I'm not going anywhere. My office is next to Dawn's in Union Park. I'm there on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and I come here on Mondays. So if you're ever here, in any of those places, just say hi. I'd love to talk to you. But real quick, I'm also, excuse me, the ambassador for the Fathom Business Systems program. For those that you don't know, that is the national coaching workshop that Encompass and Verus sponsor to bring that to you guys. They do 3 workshops every month, usually the first 3 Thursdays from 11 to 11:45. I've made it a point to make sure all of you are getting those invites. So if you're not seeing my emails, please let me know so that I can make sure that you're getting it. And I've gone to the point where I've made them give me the recordings. So usually the week after, I also blast out to make sure you guys have that. This week, I'm going to be blasting the 3 that were for April so that you guys have it. Because if you're like me, I've been in this industry 30 years, and even old dogs like myself can learn something. So even if you can't be on it or, on the live call, which is fine because we're all busy, I want you guys to have the recordings because there's probably some little tidbits that you can pick up when you listen to it on your own time. The other thing I wanted to really quickly tell you about is our consumer credit education program. This is huge. If you have clients, they're telling you, I don't think I qualify, or my credit's bad, or anything like that, that's not a no. Get them over to me. I can get them into that program. Basically what that is they will work with them, whether it's 90 days or 6 months, they will actually work with them to get their credit to where they can qualify and back to you to get them into their house. So if you have anyone that's telling you that, let me know. I'd love to work with them and get them so they can get approved and get into a house with you guys. So there's other stuff too, but we'll discuss that at future ones.
Thanks, Jason. Jason's awesome, super fast, great responses as well, and has a ton of great information. So if you ever need anything, hit Jason up. He's usually parked back here at this table. I think it's because he thinks we always fill it full of food, and so he can sit there and just snack off of it.
I told Maya it's because it's my throne.
Oh, is that why?
Like, sit there right in the middle.
I love it. All right, so let's talk about the division newsletter. Division newsletter, quarterly newsletter came out just a couple weeks ago. Hopefully you've all had a chance to read it. If you haven't, please go back and read it. Some extremely valuable things in there. Some that I'm not even going to cover today. There was a House bill passed that changes some of the requirements for us as brokerages and for you as agents. And so you really need to go back and sort through that, look at the House bill, see how that affects you. We'll continue to give you those kind of things, but I'm not going to cover some of it in this meeting. So make sure you go back and get that division newsletter. If you read that division newsletter, one of the biggest themes in that newsletter is about professionalism. The division is, I feel like the division is really going to start pushing us to either be professional or they're going to start finding us pretty heavily. And to the point that you're either going to be good or you're going to get out. Like I really feel like the division is setting a higher bar for us at this point. And so I want to go kind of through some of that. And some of it's not just about how good or bad or terrible your headshot is, right? Some of it's about what's actually behind your business, right? And so it's not just what you show on the outside, it's what you actually do for your clients and how that works, right? And so let's go through and talk a little bit about that. What's the difference between an amateur and a professional real estate agent? And all of these examples that I'm going to give you are real. Like the amateur side, it may be one of you. I don't think it's one of you. But it's either a Fathom agent, one of our agents, or it's somebody that I personally worked with that's on the other side of the deal. Okay. So this isn't stuff that I just make up. So on the professional side, a professional pulls the current Rep C plus every relevant addendum, then fills them out correctly, proofreads it for conflicts and errors before the buyer ever sees it in DigiSign. On the amateur side, they use an outdated Rep C. I see that. I can't tell you how many outdated Rep Cs I've seen. Even after the settlement, right, I still see pre-settlement Rep Cs come through, okay? They forget half the addenda that they need, especially the deposit of earnest money addendums. In our brokerage, that one is missed all the time. Crossouts and typos in pen, not initialed, like contracts that are just, hey, you would be amazed at what I see, right? And then they just send it to their client. No information whatsoever. Here you go. It's a DocuSign, says sign now, no other information. How do I know? Because I've been involved, right? When I get involved, usually it's not a good thing in most cases, right? Amateur versus pro again. Amateurs insert hard-worn negotiation clauses, appraisal gaps, escalation clause, short-term lease backs, those kind of things that keep their clients out of court. Amateurs literally just Google escalation clause and they copy and paste this in and they use whatever Google happened to bring up for an escalation clause, right? Or one of the worst escalation clauses I've ever seen was client will pay $1,000 over highest offer. That was it, nothing else, right? Lots of liability there, okay? Professional calls title before taking a listing or submitting an offer to confirm vesting and HOA payoff details. An amateur at the listing appointment says, I assume that the house is in your name, Mr. Smith, since you're the husband. Please sign here. Happened, right? Got a call from the wife. She wasn't extremely happy or impressed. Okay. Pro. They run a net sheet and a worst case scenario closing costs with the CPA level clarity, explaining it to their clients. An amateur, and I hear this one a lot, closing costs are about 3% or so, I think, something like that. Title will run through it with you at the closing table, right? I also hear a lot, hey, closing costs are probably going to be somewhere around 30,000, just so you know, so plan on that, right? They have no idea what they're actually telling clients as far as what it's going to cost them. They haven't checked. They're not doing anything to help their clients whatsoever. Pros: tracks deadlines in a CRM and has auto notifications go out to parties 5 days before, 2 days before, and day of deadline so that everybody's informed. On the amateur side, they jot down due dates on a sticky note, and that gets lost. And that gets lost. And this is apparently Lisa. And then she calls the other agent to get a copy of the contract so that she can check the actual deadlines, right? I'm glad. I've actually had agents call me and say, hey, can you send over a copy of the contract? I don't have it, and I don't remember what our deadlines are. Right? Not one of our agents saying that. Yeah, someone that I had on the other side as a buyer's agent calls me and says, hey, I don't have a copy of the contract. Can you send that to me? I don't have the dates, right? I said, sure.
Oh, glad you're not.
Would love to. I said, I don't know. I don't have it either. What are we? Pro: negotiates repairs through a detailed email and phone call after getting cost estimates, consulting with the client, and understanding the cost benefit analysis. An amateur texts the other agent and says, I just emailed you the inspection report. Fix everything or we're walking. Actual text message. Pro: orders a preliminary title and reads the CC&Rs day one, asking an escrow officer for clarification on items that they don't understand. The amateur emails CC&Rs to the client the day before closing with a note that says, I think these look good. Just sending them because I'm supposed to, so maybe look them over and see if there's anything you care about.
The quotes mean that that was
Literally what was said. Yep. Pro: watches the market daily in target neighborhoods for new listings, sold properties, uses local absorption rates to guide pricing and concessions. On the amateur side, and I hear this one a lot, hey, the market's hot, let's list it, right? I hear that verbiage a lot. People just say, hey, it's hot, let's go out and buy a house. Hey, it's hot, let's list your house. Hey, let's get the market going, it's awesome, right? Know your stuff. So being a professional, what does that mean? It means you need to master the REPC and addendums. You need to know every clause, every option, every deadline, every loophole that the other side might use. The REPC is truly your Bible, guys. It's what you should know inside and out. When I call you and say, hey, what section talks about due diligence, right? You should be able to tell me that, right? Because your client needs to know that you know what you're doing on this. You need to know your market cold. You need to know your absorption rate, your days on market, your price trends, your new construction projects, what sells and why, what doesn't sell and why. This is your job to know those. Quit trying to get away with creative contracts. I'm seeing a lot of these lately where agents are trying to write crazy seller finance deals, right? Or crazy assumptions or things that they just are so far off of what we should be doing as professionals. Okay, quit trying to get away with that. Come to class or at least watch the classes. Okay, we as your brokers spend a lot of time doing this. In fact, this one took me 6 or 7 hours total, probably, just to get prepared for our class today, right? We want you to be as updated as possible. We want you to be professionals. We do everything we can to train you. If there's a class that you haven't seen and you want, we're happy to train on anything you want, but you need to be absorbing the information, getting everything you can to be a professional, okay? Take CE classes, super important. Don't just take the ones that are on TikTok, right? Those are great, right? But take the ones about contracts and about professionalism, about negotiations, about all the things that you're going to use in your business, right? Read your emails. Guys, please read your emails. I can't tell you how often I hear, hey, I need to do X, Y, Z. And I say, hey, maybe look at your email that I just sent on Friday, right? And so it's there for you. I promise the information is there. Listen to podcasts and videos and ask questions before you need the answers. I'm happy to give them when you're in the middle of the muck, but it's always better if you're educated and know how to deal with it firsthand, right? I'm always happy to answer the questions as needed. Just know that, okay? It's our job as brokers, Don and I mostly for up here, right? To help you do your job. It's not our job to do your job for you. And there's a lot of this currently happening, right? Where agents come to us as brokers and say, can you please write this contract? Literally, like just write it for me, right? Can you please write this whole addendum, right? Do the whole, well, you mostly, Ron. That's the problem. I'm glad you attended today so that you could see that, right? It's our job to help you, and we're happy to help you. We really are happy to help you, but you need to know how to do your job. If you don't know how to write a listing agreement, a buyer broker agreement, or a purchase contract, you really should not be representing someone in the biggest purchase of their life, right? You need to be the professional that actually knows how to do your job or learn how to do it. If you're a new agent, that's okay, right? In fact, I've been on my soapbox, right? But I also need to lead with kindness, right? And this is the reality of it. Yes, we get on our soapbox. We want you to know to be professionals, but we are very kind. And it is okay, right? It's okay if you're part-time. It's okay if you're new. It's okay if you have questions. It's okay if you don't know the answers or how to do something. But please be proactive in helping yourself get to the next level. We owe it to our clients to show up with skill, not just good intentions, right? And I think every one of us have sat on the other side of a deal where the other agent truly should not be in this business, right? They really should not be representing their client. We take full advantage of them in ways that their client doesn't even understand, and it's not okay for that to happen in this business. We should really be asking those people to step up just as much as we're asking ourselves to step up, because they're the ones that hurt our industry, right? Those are the ones that make us look like used car salesmen, right? And we don't need that in this business. We truly are a very highly paid profession for what we do, and we need to step up to that level. All right, off my soapbox for a minute. We're going to have a break here for our sponsors. And so first up, Stephanie from Make It Market Ready. You do have to use the microphone. Otherwise, all the people on Zoom can't hear you and you want them. Yeah, I'm mic'd.
I feel like I should sing or something. My name's Stephanie Summers. I'm with Make It Market Ready. We are a licensed contracting company that was started by realtors, Jeff Willis at Better Homes and Garden and his brother Sam, and then me. All of us have 20 years experience in the business. So we've done a few transactions. We kind of know what you need to sell a home. And in just what I've heard today and in all my conversations with realtors, it kind of feels like it's not so much the prices of our homes right now, because most of us are priced pretty well. But a lot of times our buyers want to walk into ready to go condition because they don't have additional money to come in and make repairs. And that's where we come in. Our goal is to get your listings ready for market. So as soon as they hit market, they are a 10 and buyers walk in and want this home. We can do everything from installing carpet. Now maybe I should break out in song. Replacing carpet, painting. We can do staging, anything that you need. I'm just going to give you a couple of scenarios that we've done. We did a home over on the east bench of Draper that was getting no offers, and it was in really rough conditions. The dogs had trashed the place, so they just put the home out to investors, and their top offer was $350,000 on the east bench of Draper. So the agent called us and said, "What can you do? How can you help us?" So we went, gave them a bid, and we literally took that home down to the studs, redid the entire first floor. The basement was about half finished, but not in bad condition. We put that family up in an Airbnb for 6 weeks while the work was done, allowed them to move on to Washington. We did all the work on the home, put it on the market. They got multiple offers, ended up accepting one at $770. And with the appraisal, it came in at $750. So we put $170,000 into that house of our money because the seller doesn't have to pay until closing. And then when it closed, that seller walked away with $180,000, whereas they wouldn't have walked away with a penny. So that's the beauty of our program, is that if the seller has equity, they don't have to pay anything until closing or 6 months, whichever's first. Yes, whichever's first. But how much money would you put into a home if you weren't having to use your money? Are you going to use my money? A lot, a little, 10,000, 20, whatever it takes to get that home to sell. So that's the beauty of that. And I just want to give you a quick example that we used with some of my buyers. We had gone out and looked at homes. We found one in Lehigh that we really liked, but it needed new carpet, it needed trim work put in, and a few other things. We went and looked at 15 other homes, and they said, we really like that first home, but we want to put down 20% on the house. And if we do that, we're not going to have $30,000 to make these improvements. So we kind of determined what the house was worth without any improvements, added on $30,000, and then sent our offer to the seller asking them to make these $30,000 worth of repairs. And we wanted to make it market ready to do the repairs. The Make It Market Ready went and sat down with the sellers, explained how the whole process worked. And they said, yeah, let's do it. So what we did is we did our due diligence, and the day our due diligence deadline hit, we deposited an additional non-refundable earnest money amount. That way the seller knew, hey, these repairs will be paid for if these buyers back out. And then Make It Market Ready went in, made the repairs in 5 days, and then we closed the following week. And to make sure that this home wouldn't have an appraisal problem, I had our lender do a desktop appraisal just to make sure we weren't off too much in our value. And the appraisal actually came in higher than what our offer was, which was still a beautiful thing. So it's just a really great program that you can use for sellers, or you can use it for buyers. I'm trying to think what else there is. Yeah. What questions might you have? I've spoken with you.
Yeah.
I could listen to you talk all day. I love it. Yes. Yeah. So we do have a minimum if you want the seller to pay at closing, and it's $20,000. And that's because we also have a limit to our funds. So we have to make sure that we're using our money for the best returns. We don't want to have 5,000 here, 3,000 there, and then have to miss out on like a $50,000 job because we've got little amounts out over 6 months. But that doesn't mean that we won't do a job that's under 20,000. It just means that the seller won't qualify for that 6-month pay at closing. And if you're close, or it's something that we feel like maybe this is a deal that we should take, you know, we're willing to work with you. But even if we don't take it on in that program, we can still help you with carpet and all the painting, any repairs that you need.
And they have to move out to an Airbnb.
They do have to move out. Airbnb, hotel, family, wherever. And that's simply because we can't have damages done to the house while we're in there. And just like for the safety, like I don't let people go show homes when I've got kids home alone. It's the same thing. It's just a safety thing. And they if they do this program, they also have to use all of our subs. Everything we have is in-house. Our turnaround time is usually less than 2 weeks. That job right there took 6 weeks, and that's because we went down to the studs.
Does this also include exterior, like cement work, flat work, that kind of thing as well?
All of it. Yep. Anything else?
Thanks, Stephanie.
Okay.
And she's provided lunch, so make sure and thank her before you take lunch.
Welcome. And I left flyers. Oh, we have door hangers, and you can attach your business card to them if you want. It's just a great way to go out to neighborhoods that need some work.
They're only $4.99 each. I'm just kidding. They'll give them to you. Tina.
Hi guys, I'm Christina Stark. So I work with James Roberts at Security Home Mortgage. And I've got some fun flyers. So he is actually the loan officer. I'm the marketing director. So I am here for you. I make you flyers. I make you pop buys. I just sold the property postcards. I've made those, and I would make those for you. So I also, if you have listings that are sitting around and not being sold, I'm a great resource. Come to me. We have loan programs that can help you sell your homes. Right now, we've got a rate buy down promotion. We'll buy down your rate 1% for the first year of home ownership of your client. I have agents using this for clients that are looking for homes, but also they say, hey, if you use my preferred lender, I can get you 1% off the interest rate, and it's helped sell homes. We also have a $1.1 million home loan program, only 5% down and no PMI. So we've got some great programs to help you sell homes or help your clients purchase homes. I also do accountability coaching. I have a lot of agents that use me for that. We do weekly check-ins, they set goals. It really gives them motivation because they watch as that day comes when they're going to meet with me and they get really active and get stuff done. It's kind of amazing how it works. So I do that as well. On May 6th at 11 a.m., I have a really fun Mother's Day brunch tea party. So if you ladies want to come celebrate Mother's Day and have a tea
Wait,
party, sorry.
What about us?
We'll do a golfing get together,
Oh,
but
I
this
see
is
how
for
it
the
is.
moms.
I see how it is.
So if you want to come have some fun, make sure you grab that. And then protein shakes and a fun little Easter egg on the back. Make sure to grab those too. I'm all about health. So anytime you see me, you will know there's something healthy here to eat. So, so
Awesome.
good to meet you.
Thanks, Christina.
Thanks.
All right, guys, back to professionalism. And I promise I won't get on my soapbox anymore and make you feel bad. Hopefully I made you feel good because you were all on the pro side, right? Or at least gave you some ideas to be on the pro realtor side. Let's talk about a couple of addendas that you need to know about that we've seen that should be used more often than they're currently being used. And the first one is the contingent cancellation addendum. And this addendum is used when you're up against a deadline, you need an extension, but your client also needs to be protected, right? A good example of that is you've got an appraisal deadline of today, you just got the appraisal. There's no way we're going to get this negotiated today, so I need a couple of extra days. But if we can't get that extension, then I need it to cancel so that my earnest money is protected, right? That's where this contingent cancellation addendum comes into play. And so let's walk through that just a little bit. That first section talks about the extension of the deadline, what you're actually asking for, either the due diligence or the finance and appraisal deadline to be extended, right? The second section talks about the notice of cancellation. So if the seller does not accept the terms of this agreement in its entirety by the applicable deadline as provided below, this addendum shall act as written notice of cancellation to the REPC. So you're saying, please extend. If not, this is cancellation, right? So it's a strong addendum when you're sending it over. It's not something that if you're just trying to be easy with the client on the other side that you're going to want to send over, but it's definitely one that protects your clients, right? Section 3 talks about when they have to accept that by, and it's either going to be the deadline, it's going to be whichever deadline you're changing. So either the due diligence deadline or the finance deadline. And then the terms to this say that it has to be accepted by the terms have to be accepted in this addendum according to section 23. Unless so accepted, the REPC shall be deemed canceled as provided in section 2 above, and any earnest money deposit released to the buyer without requirement of further written authorization from the seller. So this authorizes you to take this to the title company and have earnest money released, right? We don't have to go back and have something different signed for the title company. This actually gives you that ability. Questions on this addendum?
So seller does not sign that, then it's a cancellation.
Correct.
But if the earnest money is held in the title company, it really doesn't change the title company's gonna release it right away or not. That's
Maybe this verbiage often works, right? Because it's saying that if they don't accept it, that this authorizes the title company to release it to the buyer. Doesn't matter, right? Because we're sending it to the seller is choosing not to sign it, and therefore they're giving the authorization, this authorization, right? That it is a cancellation and authorizes a release.
Just to clarify, if it's a FHA appraisal, then they're always protected regardless of the deadline.
When is an FHA borrower protected? When is an FHA borrower protected? Can they back out for any reason up to finance and appraisal? That's not what the FHA addendum says, right? So the FHA addendum allows you to back out and keep your earnest money for any reason clear up to settlement, right? Even past your finance and appraisal deadline if, and only if, the appraisal is low. Okay, so this has nothing to do with appraisal. This is simply, I'm trying to extend a date.
This feels a little maybe blackmail-ish, isn't it? Like deadlines
Sort of.
aren't really important in a contract. If you've got someone that can say, kind of make the threat, right? If you don't extend, and sellers be like, oh, we had deadlines for a purpose, for a reason. And now they're, you know,
Yeah, but what if the
pushing
deadline is,
for more days
like,
than.
yeah, but what if it's not the buyer's fault? What if it's the loan officer or, I mean, like they shouldn't.
Eileen?
I think it depends how you use it. Like if you use it like what Lisa's saying, it's something that is not in your control. If it was something because like, I don't know, I had a bad dream, was right this one, then yes, I agree. But if it's something like, okay, that appraisal is late or it's been so busy and we still don't have an appraisal date and it's gonna be like so short, we're not gonna have enough time or the inspection is taking forever because of this little thing that they found and like it goes like on and on and on, then I think that is acceptable.
Jen?
Our duty is to protect our buyer and that earnest. So you can have this addendum before, and I would always write that in.
Mhm.
If you don't assign this and extend, it will be on, we're canceling. Because that's what my duty is to my buyer.
Peter?
I was thinking the same thing, except I would also add that if it was the 11th hour and you shoot that over and don't give them a chance to mull it over and think about it, the seller, then it is a little bit like a blackmail type thing, but it's still better than actually just canceling and not giving it a chance.
Yeah, so here's what this protects against and what I usually see. What I usually see is, okay, I just got a low appraisal. I need to extend the due diligence deadline. I write addendum 4, we're extending the due diligence deadline to 2 weeks from now. And you put an acceptance deadline of 4:55 p.m. today, right? Thinking that that's somehow going to force the seller to sign before 4:55 p.m. Does that force them to sign it? Oh, they can just ignore it. What happens at 4:58 when you don't have the addendum back? You're calling me and saying, well, they didn't sign it. Is it canceled? What do I do? Right? This is the way this normally goes, right? And I'm like, look, you've got 2 minutes to have a cancellation to them. Right? You've got to have that signed by your buyer in the seller's email box in the next 2 minutes. Get off the phone with me and write that and get it over. Right? And so that's what this protects against is if you're truly going to cancel on that deadline, if it's not extended, that's what this is for. If you're like, look, we're just going to continue to negotiate anyhow, then yeah, it's a strong arm tactic for sure.
You had a contract for, with the listing agent and the offer is higher than what the appraisal comes in. So of course, the agent is calling and asks me, hey, the appraisal came in a little less, did you have a conversation with the client? My response was, we have a valid contract, don't know what we need to talk about. Is it your intention to cancel this if they don't do something? Well, otherwise, what do I have to talk about? We have a contract unless you cancel it. Are you saying you're going to cancel? Well, no. Then what do I need to talk to them about? Because I know what you're asking for. The price is good. Then cancel it. Stand up and say, well, what are you going to do? Other than, and they didn't. Because I already knew what they were getting. You're not going to find that. But I did talk to the client and I did say, this is what they're doing. My advice is, why don't we just wait and see?
Yeah.
Because you still have a valid contract until they cancel. Well, what if they cancel? We'll find you another buyer. But the point was, we're there to protect them.
Right, absolutely. Second point on that though also is we don't make the decisions, right? We never make the decision of, well, sorry, this is the contract, it is what it is, right? We can tell the other agent that, but we still have the responsibility, which you took of communicating to the client, making sure that the client has the ultimate decision. And maybe you tell the client, hey, look, I want to just tell them no. And he says, oh, I don't care. Let's just lower the price, right? All right, that's our responsibility. We go back and we lower the price even though we don't feel it's right.
So just the fact that my buyers, because I'm only going to use this with a buyer, right? Basically, this contingency to cancel. So just the fact that my buyers sign it and we send it over to the seller, regardless of if the seller signs it or not, we're canceling that. Or no, we send it over, the seller does not sign it, then it becomes canceled.
Correct.
Okay, and then if we go back into this, do I do another IntelliAgent? I do another RepC, like?
It
how-
depends. It depends on how
Okay.
far this goes, right? If you truly go to cancellation and you're like 2 weeks out and then you write a new contract, then yes,
Okay.
right? If we go a day and the seller comes back and says, hey, we actually want to extend, let's put this all back together. You write a reinstatement
Okay.
addendum and put the contract back together, then you don't have to start a new file.
Okay.
All right. Next one that is often missed is this addendum. It's the closing costs addendum. And lots of people say, well, I can just write my own closing costs verbiage into an addendum. Why do I need to use this addendum, or why do I need to use this clause at all? Right? Because we're not lawyers. We don't write law, right? But we use this when anytime that you're asking for closing costs and you're not using an FHA or a VA, because FHA and VA have their own addendum that has that built in. Anytime you're doing anything else, cash, conventional, seller financing, whatever, and you're asking for closing costs, use this verbiage, right? And let's go through why. This verbiage says that the seller agrees to contribute this amount as a permanent reduction or temporary reduction in the mortgage loan interest rate, so they can use it to buy down the rate. B, as mortgage financing costs, so any mortgage financing costs can be paid. C, closing costs can be paid. D, prepaids and escrows can be paid. And if you've got $80,000 in here and they don't use it all, it can also be used, any unused portion can be used to reduce the purchase price, right? What happens on this addendum? And this is a real addendum from an agent in our brokerage.
What's CC? Credit card. Credit card. What is it, closing costs?
I don't know. What is it?
Universal abbreviation?
I don't know. What is it? What happens to the $5,000? What can you use it for?
Trust fund.
Yeah.
A trust fund, right? What
Concessions. They should have said seller concessions.
what if I say seller concessions to be $5,000? What can I use it for?
Carbon?
Can you?
A new roof?
What's it being used for? What are you agreeing to? Right? Just a check
Furniture?
to buy down the rate? Or is it to reduce the purchase price? Like you're not giving me any information here, right? You're not helping in any way. If this goes to court, the judge is going to go, I have no idea what this is. The ambiguity here is so high that he's not going to be able to understand what needs to happen, right? And he's just going to throw it out. Okay, so be concise with your language. Make sure you're stating what's actually happening. If this has gone through, right, then we know the bold seller's contribution to closing costs, right? If we now, after this addendum, so in addendum 2, I reference back to closing costs, not CC, but actually closing costs, capitalized, we can refer back and know what closing costs are, right? You can pass through. All right, next one, lead-based paint. Sorry, any questions on this addendum before I move on?
Jeff, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the last one, it doesn't need to be communicated, correct? We just send it and it's done and we don't have to communicate with them.
On the seller cancellation, contingent cancellation.
Mhm.
Yes, contingent cancellation, you can just send it over. I mean, I would communicate, hey, I sent it to you.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying, you know, like a regular contract, you have to communicate with them before it's actually accepted or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So you would just send it over. If it's not accepted, it's not sent back to you, then it becomes a cancellation.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure we can just sign it, send it to them like a normal cancellation and that's done. We don't have to communicate with them.
No, I mean, you never really have to communicate. It just is what it is. It's a cancellation, right?
Okay.
Sue? Okay. You can ask Jason after. All right, lead-based paint. This was in the division newsletter, and this talks about lead-based paint disclosure. We're talking homes prior to 1978. It says that the disclosure, the acknowledgement, and the retention are common issues surrounding lead-based paint violation. And then they give a number of violations that have happened recently on lead-based paint. There's more than this if you read the email. I'm not going to go through those. Instead, I want to address this, that real estate agents and property managers must provide disclosures, pamphlets, and addenda to buyers or renters. Okay, the disclosure is the one that we get right up front, right? That says this is what the seller knows, and the buyer elects, yes, I want 10 days to look at it, or no, I don't. The pamphlet is the 24-page don't eat the paint thing, right? So that's the pamphlet. And the addendum is if the buyer chooses to have the 10-day risk assessment, then you have to do an addendum. It's actually called the lead-based paint addendum versus the lead-based paint disclosure, okay? So those are the things we're talking about. And failure to comply with these regulations can result in significant fines. I'm talking $11,000 per fine, okay? And they can go up to a maximum of $150,000 if they start to research into you and you're not doing this.
So I'm new, but I've started a habit where if it's prior to 1978, I just upload it into the documents on the MLS.
What do you upload there?
I upload the disclosure.
The disclosure has to be, and the pamphlet. So the disclosure must be.
Is that
Good practice. Good practice. And we'll talk about it, right?
Yeah, because my mentor.
Good job. So you're required, anytime you list a prior to 1978 home, the MLS will actually pop up a box and say, have you uploaded the lead-based paint disclosure, right? So you're required to upload it there, right? And so that is good practice. It's also good practice to upload the pamphlet with it, and we'll talk about why. All right, so due to this, there is a new policy. We're putting new policy in place because the EPA is currently out searching for these and finding agents and brokerages regularly right now. And so here are the new policies. For listing agents, you must upload a copy of the pamphlet to the MLS. Okay, not just the disclosure. The lead-based paint pamphlet must be on the MLS. Number two, you must include this note in the agent remarks, okay? Lead-based paint disclosure and pamphlet are in the documents section of this listing. The pamphlet must be given to the buyer prior to writing an offer. All offers must be accompanied by a signed lead-based paint disclosure.
You will email us that.
This is all going out in slides, yes. And there will likely be an email specific to lead-based paint.
I think if you just upload the PDF with the disclosure and the pamphlet all in one PDF, there's no way they can't get that.
Okay, it's a good point, and one that we'll actually talk about.
Could you just go ahead and do that for us all?
Yes, yeah, just
Thank you,
please, yeah. Just let me know if I can do all your listings for you. I would love to do that. If you receive an offer, and as a listing agent, you'll know this happens frequently. If you receive an offer from a buyer's agent and it does not include that disclosure, you must return it to the buyer's agent and say, you need to include this disclosure with this offer before it can be presented.
Because this is a Fathom policy?
No, this is an EPA policy. EPA requires that the buyer sign the disclosure before an offer is actually written. Okay, since 1978, since whenever they put that policy in place, right? So it must be signed before an offer is written. Okay, and once you go under contract, email a copy of the lead-based pamphlet, even though it's been on the MLS, email a copy of that pamphlet to the buyer's agent and let them know that they must deliver it to the buyer according to the EPA guidelines, okay? So we're protecting ourselves as listing agents, showing that we've delivered because we have a responsibility to deliver that lead-based paint pamphlet to the buyer. Buyer's agent is the same as the buyer, okay? So we have a requirement to make sure they get it. Just because we put it on the MLS, even if I put it in the same PDF, does not necessarily mean that they did get it or deliver it to the buyer, right? And so we want to make sure that when you email it out to the buyer's agent, that they know, hey, we're delivering this. And I've got an email showing I actually sent it to the buyer's agent when the EPA knocks on my door.
Sure that gets sent to your lenders too.
Lenders need it. Okay, so make sure that the lead-based paint disclosure and or addenda gets mailed to your lender. So buyer's agents. Buyer's agents are required to have the lead-based paint disclosure signed before writing the offer. Now that can mean, and will often mean,
Calling them to get it.
no, it'll be on the MLS. Yeah, so you can download it from the MLS. It will often mean that it's just the very first page of what you send in DigiSign, right? Because it gets clicked on first, right? And so it's okay to include it in your packet that you send over for digital signatures, as long as it's the first document, right?
Because it states and timestamps it.
Timestamps it seconds before, half a millisecond before they click the next one, right? Whatever it is, right? You're required to deliver the lead-based paint pamphlet also before writing an offer. Okay, that has to be delivered. And so for digital delivery, if you're doing it in DigiSign, the best way to do that is that the lead-based paint disclosure and pamphlet is the first document. You have to include the lead-based paint pamphlet in the envelope when you send it. So make sure that you're sending, if you're sending it separate, make sure you're sending both the pamphlet and the disclosure at the same time. And then please put a signature either on the first page or last page of that pamphlet to indicate that, to indicate that they have actually received
Or
it.
just don't sell or buy property.
Property under. So this is a discussion. This was a 3-hour discussion with the brokers with Bill. So Bill Telford, myself, Don, and Steve Foisey down south. We had a 3-hour discussion over this, over ways that, and that Bill actually wanted to go more heavily than this. We've talked him out of a lot of things, but he wants to make sure you're protected, right? And so we've come to an agreement on this, but he said, he actually said, look, if I were an agent and doing a lot of business, I don't think I would sell properties prior to 1978. It's just too big of a pain, right? So we get it. Trust me, we sell, we understand, right? But this is for your protection. And then if you're physically delivering that pamphlet, take 2 copies, have them sign 1 copy and keep that for your records, scan it in or keep it in your folder or whatever your process is, okay?
So it's only the buyer that needs to sign the pamphlet and you have to
Correct.
with the pamphlet, then the receipt into Sky Sweep so that and putting a signature on the actual pamphlet. But as for the seller, you just need, the listing agent just needs to upload the pamphlet to the MLS as well as the seller, the lead-based disclosure. Just signed by the seller, but the seller doesn't have to sign the pamphlet, that's just for the.
No.
So you want us
Yes.
to create a signature?
Just throw a signature on there anywhere. I don't care where it is. It can be anywhere on there, just showing that they actually saw the pamphlet.
Our document receipt document.
You can include it on your TDR if you want, your transaction document receipt if you would like. So again, this is all, they're not coming after the brokerages, right? They're coming after individual agents. So this is all to protect you for when they knock on your door and say, hey, you just sold this house. Can you show me where these documents are, right? And so you'll want to have proof of physical delivery of these things, physical ways that you can show that they actually received the documents and or signed them. For the most part, we've been protected by the EPA or by the state's disclosure document because and we fought with Bill for a while on this. The disclosure document actually says at the very bottom that the buyer has received a copy of the pamphlet, of the lead-based paint pamphlet, right? That apparently wasn't good enough on some of these cases here in Salt Lake where the EPA has gone after agents and they've paid heavy fines because of it. So again, it's up to you. We did successfully talk Bill out of the fact that as of right now, you don't have to upload the lead-based paint pamphlet signed to IntelliAgent. There's no additional steps there for the actual file. So it's for your own files as of right now. And so it's really just to protect you. So
Can we just
totally up to you.
back of your business cards and then when the EPA shows up?
Yes,
My
that would be
broker will
great.
take care of that for you.
That'd be awesome. I need more liability, so please. And then the fully executed lead-based paint disclosure must accompany the REPC. So make sure that you send it over. When you send over that lead-based paint disclosure, don't put in section 9 that it's an addendum or an attachment to the REPC. It is not. It's a disclosure. If you end up having the 10-day risk assessment and you do an addendum, then it is. But if it's just the disclosure, it's not an addendum. Okay, it's not an attachment.
Agent, when I'm doing a home before 1978, and I have to ask them for the REPC and that signed. And okay, and then an IntelliAgent, I can just separate them and create a thing. Okay.
Yep. All right, open houses, and this one's going to be a quick one. But in the open house, talking about open houses in the newsletter, they came back and reiterated again that it requires, if I'm doing an open house for an EXP agent, it requires that I have sub-agency with the seller in order to do that open house, okay? And the division came back and reiterated that, which means that the division is now focused upon this, which means that you're now going to see fines in the newsletter. And so because of that, Fathom Realty policy, and this is actually a policy that was there before any of this came out, but Fathom Realty policy doesn't allow for sub-agency, so you're not allowed to do an open house for another brokerage. Just be aware. Nor can they do it for us because we cannot establish sub-agency with them. Okay. All right, some fun stuff finally. Fathom Realty resources. The listing success package that you can now order for any of your listings comes and it looks like this. This is the sample one that you can order. Okay. And it's actually a really nice package. It has a metallic opening on it. Comes in a nice package like this. And the one that comes for the sample so that you can show it in listings is a nice fold out that you can set on a table or whatever and show. And it has everything, shows a copy of everything that is included. You've got, I'll just show you some of the things. You've got full size pamphlet, or sorry, flyers. They're really nice, high quality paper. You've got door hangers for just listed. You've got business cards with the property photos on it and QR codes to the single property website. You get 50 just listed postcards and some thank you cards and some just sold cards as well. And then some just sold cards and some open house stuff, including an open house sign-in sheet. So for the success package, for the sampler, I think it's $39 plus some shipping. And then they have a small package, which is only $39, and a large package, which is $69, depending on what you want.
How long does it take for them to get it to you once you order it?
I ordered this and got it 2 days later.
Well, I meant if it's for a listing.
2 days after you order it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So as soon as it's on IntelliAgent, in IntelliAgent, when you have a listing, there's a box at the bottom that says order your success package, and you just click it, go through the order process. And I've actually got a video that I did on this, so I'll send it to you. You'll click on that, go through the process, and 2 days later it shows up with everything in it. It pulls in all your MLS data, all your photos for you, formats everything. You can pick from a couple of different styles. It's really pretty
Can you
slick.
pick which photos it uses?
Yes. Yep.
But you can order a sample as well to
That-
go to your listing presentation.
That's what this is. So you can, and if you guys don't have a listing where you can order it off of, let me know and I'll help you get that. But that's what this is. And so you can actually just take it on a listing. It says, 123 Main Street or whatever it says on here, but you can show them what it is that you're doing and what the package looks like. It's a really great tool to use in listing presentations to show this is what I'm going to do for my marketing. So it's a pretty slick product. I didn't think it was going to be as nice as it is, to be honest, because it comes from Fathom Corporate. So,
We're way back, just went way back. Yeah.
Somehow
The
it,
box,
like-
the box.
touched it.
yeah, my box is making things bad. Should we just go through it again to make sure you got it? It was super fun, wasn't it? All right, second, hopefully you've heard about the Elevate program, although I have had a couple agents reach out and say, hey, I heard something about an Elevate thing. Is that a Fathom product? Guys, read your emails, please. They're like, you should have received like 80 emails on this, honestly, right? But the Fathom Elevate program, what it does is it helps you with marketing lead gen. You'll have a custom website built for you. You'll have a done for you social media and automated posting that will be done for you. Branded handbooks, buyer and seller, that you can give to buyers and sellers. And so those will be made for you. Hyper local marketing reports and monthly newsletters will be automatically generated and sent for you. Targeted lead gen and CRM integration. And so that includes meta lead capture and those kind of things. High impact listing marketing. And so for every one of your listings, you'll automatically get one of these. It's paid for automatically and you'll get them. And then post-close marketing and client retention. They have a full, I think it's a 3-year marketing retention that goes to your clients after you close automatically. In addition to that, you'll have a transaction coordinator that will do all of your inside sales stuff, upload all your stuff to IntelliAgent, track all your deadlines, make sure everybody with title and lending is on the same page, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Sounds really awesome.
For a low fee of.
So your fee is $50 a month and $20 split, or 20% split, right? So you're now on an 80-20 split that you'll pay for this. The $20 split would be better, but it is 80-20. I will tell you that's on every deal. Okay. So if you do like me, I was actually going to do this just to test it, see how it works for you guys, because I like to take one for the team. But the problem is I do 95+% of my business from referral, right? And so all of that business that I bring, I actually still pay the 20% split, right? And so you have to kind of gauge where you're at. This is a great tool if you're in the 4 to 7 range and you want to get to the 20 to 30 range. This is a great tool for that, right?
Do it on your 1.7 million.
I don't want to show my 1.7. I'll wait till that one closes. But in any case, this is a great program for that. You do have to commit to 12 months. So if you sign up, you're committed for a full 12 months. So you can't just get your website built, all that stuff all built out and then cancel on them. So you do have to be there for 12 months. And you have to have had at least 4 closed deals in the last year in order to qualify. If you want to do it, go to Fathom Wiki, search for Elevate. There's an easy form to fill out and sign up. Okay. Questions on this? Okay. But I need deals now. Quit telling me about Elevate, right? And I get this all day long, right? I get you guys coming into my office saying, I need business right now. Like, I've got to pay the bills. How do I get business right now? So I want to go through 5.5 top ideas, okay, of how to get business. If you need business right now, this is what I would recommend that you do, okay? Okay. So number 1, old expireds. Go back, search your neighborhood, your preferred neighborhood, where you want to work, whatever that region is, and look for listings that have expired 18 to 36 months ago and haven't sold. Now, this takes a little bit of work. Imagine that. All this takes a little bit of work, right? It takes a little bit of work because you've got to go into the listing, then you've got to look at the history, and you may even have to go and look at the tax data to see if it sold off market. But if it hasn't sold, these people are gold. They are no longer as mad at 50,000 agents calling them to ask to relist their property, right? They're less angry about it. I don't know that they're happy about it, but they're less angry, right? And if you go to them with a, hey, this is what I can do to actually sell your property proposal, they'll work with you, right? Because they've already listed with an agent before. You just have to let them know why that other agent wasn't as good as you are, okay? Number 2, open houses. If I had to restart my business today, this is what I would do. I would do an open house every weekend, Friday and Saturday, every single weekend without stop. And Karen's shaking her head, right? Because open houses, they're hard, right? And they take a lot of time, and sometimes they're successful and sometimes they're not, but they're worth it. I guarantee you, if you do it right, okay? If you don't have a listing, find a Fathom agent that does. Like me, I don't like to do my open houses anymore. If you want to do open houses on my property, let me know.
7.
All yours.
Well, the other thing is that It's not required to just have them on weekends.
No, you can do them
You
anytime.
have it in the evening.
Yeah.
When people are getting off work, they may be driving by and saying, oh my God.
Yeah. Especially if it's if you have a vacant listing, just go sit there every freaking day and do your work in the listing and have an open house all day, every day. Right. I mean, and nothing stops you from doing that. So do that, knock the neighborhood ahead of time. I would highly advise that you get a little flyer and you go knock the neighborhood and just have the conversation. Hey, I know you don't want to move into your neighbor's house, but maybe you know a friend or family or somebody who does, right? Pro tip, have a neighborhood open house an hour before, because the neighbors all want to come see the property, right? But it's a great way to say, hey, you're exclusive. I'm going to have some sandwiches there. Why don't you come an hour before? Walk through the house. I know you're not going to buy it, but just come see it. Maybe it'll give you some ideas for renovation or whatever. But it then gives you that touch to actually have something to do and something to give to those people in that neighborhood to possibly get another listing. Because when a house goes up in a neighborhood, what happens? Everybody else starts to think, oh, maybe we should be moving, right? So it's a great place to be. Have a sign-in sheet. I actually had an agent who did an open house last weekend. They didn't even do a sign-in sheet. No sign-in sheet at all. I don't know why you do that, right? The purpose is to get the information of the people coming through. I always have a sign that says at the request of the homeowners, all attendees must sign in. The reason I do that, and I'll make a super short story of this, is that I was doing an open house. A couple came in with their son. I was doing the open house. He went to the bathroom. We went to the basement. He took my laptop, left. Okay. Luckily, they had signed in with their address and phone number. So the police had a really easy time retrieving my laptop, right? If you want a story, you can just tell my story and say, that is why we have people sign in. Okay. It is truly for the protection of the people that are there. Right? No, that would be worse. And then have another flyer with you that is like, oh, the other houses like this, just like list 5 or 6. And when an unrepresented buyer comes through, hand them that list and say, hey, I'd love to go show you these houses if they work for you. Can I stay in touch with you? Right.
One thing I started doing was I have them at clipboards with a sheet for them to all fill out their feedback with their name, address, number, and their agent's name. And they just take it as they go through the home, and I just say, so we can provide feedback, and it's great, because then they can tell the homeowner maybe what I've been telling them. But I don't have anyone refuse to fill that out, because they all want to tell you how they fill out the house.
Awesome.
Then you've got the information, I take a picture of it, so I've got their data, and then I leave the feedback themselves.
Love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of open houses don't expect it, but the one I had on, conference weekend, the last buyer that came through with all their kids running all over, did buy it for cash. They call these buyers out of open house, throw an offer. So they do work.
That's awesome. Yeah, about 1.5% of the time they work, right? So they're really not to sell the house.
But do all that stuff.
You do, for sure. Idea number 3, knock apartments. This is an awesome one. So take a flyer that talks about new construction, affordable housing, how new construction helps you buy down rates, how new construction can give you money towards closing costs. Right now, new construction is super affordable compared to existing. Co-brand the back of that flyer with your lender. Qualifying is easier than you would expect. I would say minimum 50% of renters are there because they think that qualifying is hard. It's scary. It's something they don't want to do. If you can take that off of their plate, you're going to be surprised how many actually want to work with you.
Property.
Some are. Some are, some aren't. So some will be posted. If they're not posted, I knock them. If they are posted, I knock them. Right?
And then ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, we're having Cameron teach a class on May 14th at 10 a.m. a Zoom class. He's talking on how to, so.
Awesome. So you guys hook up with Christina, and she will get you all that Zoom information, right? Oh, and the last one was go with stats, guys, especially like this one. And this is an actual stat, right? The average renter has a net worth of $10,400. The average homeowner has a net worth of over almost $400,000, right? So that's a great stat to give to your renters. All right, fifth, real estate reviews. And this is also, you can think CMA, but it's not really CMA. It's a 30-minute, this is kind of what your property is worth. I want to let you know what's happening in your neighborhood kind of a review. And this is something that you create. Don't ask them. Just find 2 people in your database. Create this net worth sheet, this CMA that goes over the worth of their property, and then go sit down with them. Right? Just call them. Hey, when would be a good time? I've got this great report about what your property is worth. Would you like to know how much equity you've got? Right? Go sit down, have a review, make sure that they understand it. If you want a pro tip, this is what I would recommend doing. Go sit down at Starbucks, plan a 2-hour window, book your clients every 30 minutes, have them come in, do a 15-minute thing, prepare for the next one, knock out 5 of them in 2 hours. Okay. All right. Oh,
Jeff,
yeah, go ahead, Shelley.
I was just gonna say, like, every agent should be doing this for all of their clients every single year. Because
Absolutely.
they're always
100%.
gonna sell again. And if you keep in touch with them and you tell them, my word, you made $1 million in equity in the last 10 years, let's sell your house kind of thing, they're gonna be ready to list. So it just seems like a no-brainer. If you have nothing else to do, reach out to all of your previous clients and find out how much their home is worth, and then call them and send them a CMA.
Yep. Don't send it, take it to them, knock on their door, find a way.
Whatever works for you, yes, but in person's
And
better.
don't do what Shelley did. Shelley's terrible.
I don't have time to do that, but yes.
I know you don't have time. It's all good. Yeah, so last one, no, not the last one, almost. This is number 5. I still have a half to go. But the one nobody wants to do or to have to actually use in their business, talk to 5 people a day about real estate, right? Actually go out and talk to people. Imagine that, right? Talking to people in this business, right? But this isn't a sales call. So the people that you're going to talk to, don't call and say, hey, are you thinking about buying or selling a house? Great way never to get your call answered again, right? Instead, call and have a forward conversation, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, and then ask them about their work. 99 times out of 100, they'll ask you, well, how's your work going? Or what are you doing? Or do you still do that weird real estate thing? I get that a lot, right? And when they ask you, just say, hey, this is the bold question. This is where you actually have to step up and be a realtor. Just ask them, hey, if you'd heard of a friend or family member that were moving, who would you recommend? What agent would you recommend to them? And if it's not you, then your next question should be, what do I need to do to be that realtor? Right? Those 2 things, this is where your business is. This, talking to the 5 people, those 5 people aren't moving. They're not going anywhere. The people that they know, they're going somewhere, right? This is your gold on this. All right, gift card time. And this is the interactive fun part of this. No, this is not the half. There's still a half to come. This is the gift card part of it. Pull out your phones. I want to know the person with the most contacts in their phone and the person with the least contacts in your phone will win a gift card today. Okay. And so if you're on Android, here's your 500 steps to get, I don't have an Android, but this is what they tell me the 500 steps are to get that number. If you're on iPhone, this is your 1 step. So once you've got a number, tell me where you're at. Gary? 1390.
Gary. 1768.
Oh.
1980.
Oh.
I have 2,583.
2545.
I have 676.
957. Anybody beat the 2580? Wow. Anybody? Yeah, we'll work on that in a second. Okay. 510. Not bad. Okay, we're going low now. 510. 71. Anybody under 71? How many? 2666. You're nice.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
7,000? Nice.
Wow.
Working on it, okay?
Hey, anybody below Doug at 71? 3? I don't believe you. You have 3 contacts in your phone. Your wife, her, and the others you don't have in there. All right. Anybody under 71? Yeah, I don't know. Here's my advice.
Get an iPhone.
Get an iPhone. All right. So Aram and Doug, if you'll see me after, I'll get you your gift cards. Here's the point. I don't care if you've only got 71. 71 is enough to do. You can do 7 deals out of 71 contacts this year. Easy. 7 deals easy, right? 10%, you should be able to do 10%. Javier should be doing 700 deals this year. Literally. You should do, if you're doing your contacts correctly and following up with your clients and having face-to-face conversations and asking them about referrals, you should be doing 10% of whatever your contact number is. Okay. It shouldn't even be rocket science. You should just be doing it if you're talking to your people. All right. Here's your bonus. Here's your half. Okay. This is your half. The top agents, right, in our brokerage between Union Park and here, I've talked to them all in the past couple of weeks since our awards. And I've asked them all, what is it that you do that actually makes you successful? Working hard every day, even when you want to sleep. That's what they do, right? Yep. That makes the difference between if you're successful and if you're not, right? I've just given you some great ideas on how to get business right now. If 2 of you out of this group and those online go out and do it, I'll be shocked. Literally, no, I don't, right? Because I've seen it over and over, right? I get agents in my office all the time. What do? I tell them, they come back 2 months later. What do I do? And I tell them again, right? And over this same process, right? They don't like the answer. You don't want to hear the answer of you actually have to go out and work. This is hard work. This is not stick a sign in the yard stuff, right? If you want stick a sign in the yard, you're going to do 2 to 3 deals a year. It's just the way it is. If you want to work, you'll be successful, I promise. All right. NAR, if you didn't hear, NAR Clear Cooperation added what's called a delayed listing option. This does not delay it from being on the MLS. You are still required to put it on the MLS within 5 business days of having your ERS signed or within 24 hours from any public marketing. It still has to be on the MLS. Instead, what this does is it stops it from aggregating to the IDX feed, right? So only the people who are members of the MLS can see it. How does that help? I have no clue. Like, I literally don't understand this policy, but it's there, right? And so for some reason you have a client who says, hey, I only want the people in Utah to be able to see this. I don't want anybody on Zillow to be able to see it. You can do that. Did you have a question, Crystal? Okay. So you'll be able to do that. It's currently not in place. The MLS is working on the policy, how much time it's going to be, how it's going to work, what the status is going to be, all of that, but it's coming. So just be aware that that policy is there. The key takeaway for me is this isn't I'm going to keep it off the MLS policy. This is just simply I only want people in Utah on the Utah real estate MLS to see it and nobody else, for whatever reason that would be. My job has always been to get it in front of as many people as possible. Apparently, some realtors think it's a good idea not to do that. Okay. Most of you have probably seen this, that you have the ability, once you have a listing, to do a property boost, to advertise on Facebook through the MLS. There's a couple of different packages. I did this for you just so you can see the stats, and I bought a $69 package for a just listed and a $69 package for a just sold. Here's the stats. So this is the listing, the just listed one that I did. It was seen 1,200 times, clicked on 21 times, and I got 7 leads off of it. This is my just sold. I had 1,300 impressions, 19 clicks, and 5 leads. So my 13 leads cost me about $140, which is about $10 a lead.
Did you
Okay.
call them yet? Because I can do that for you.
All of these leads got farmed out to someone other than me because I don't do cold leads. I just don't do them. As of right now, I know no one that has closed or has any business on any of these. Okay. So I'm not saying whether it's worth it or not. I'm showing you what I had.
That, well, is that still a big problem?
It is, but these people have raised their hand and said, please call me. Right. So they're not, well, that's the no answer list is huge. The do not call list, I'm not sure how big that is.
Leads, and none of them were even interested in the property or looking.
Sue?
What about calling expireds?
So calling expired, you need to make sure and scrub the list. Yeah. So any cold calls that haven't raised their hand and said, please call me for whatever reason, you need to make sure and scrub the list against the do not call list. You can Google that or chat GPT it. It'll tell you exactly the steps you need to do to scrub your list. Okay. Client appreciation pool party coming up in 2025, July 16th and August 8th. This normally costs somewhere around $130 to $180 for the entire event for each agent. That includes all the food, all the advertising, all the stuff that we do. We bring beach balls, like all the fun stuff that we do. It's at the Sierra Pool, July 16th, August 8th. We'll be starting to have those pool party meetings very shortly. If you're interested, you need to let Maya know, okay? We are this year, for the first time, Maya talked me into, I've always floated the money, which I actually have already paid for the pools, but whatever. Doing $100 deposit per agent. The reason is that we had a bunch of people sign up and then they would get 2 days before and go, oh, I forgot to call my people, and then they would cancel. So we don't want agents to do that. If you're going to be in, you're in, right? But this is really, honestly, for $130, and you get all your friends and family and clients and wannabe clients and anybody else, as many people as you want. There's no limit to the number, for, really pennies to have them come to a client appreciation. Yeah. The nice thing about it is everybody thinks that the whole thing is about you and everybody there is for you. And you have like 2 clients there, but those 2 clients think that you have like 4,000 clients. So it really does give you some social proof. So if you're interested, talk to Maya. And lastly, upcoming classes. If you're interested in any of these classes, we'd love to have you. The CE class will be from Stuart Title. I'm not sure what that topic will be, but it will be right here in the Orem office. All right, questions, concerns, comments? You want to leave and get food?
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for being here.